Now we're going to go over the pros and cons of each business structure. So I know this is a lot of information to take in, and again, this is really intended just to give you sort of a menu of options that exist if you're interested in formalizing your business. It is by no means a comprehensive presentation. Any of these options, if you're interested in continuing to do something like this, should be explored individually. But we'll begin by going back to the sole proprietorship. So some of the pros, it's very easy to set up, low startup cost, probably maybe about $50 in general, and net losses can be deducted from your personal tax. Some of the cons, as the owner, you are responsible for debts and other liabilities, and you do have to pay income taxes on your business's net profits. And so the next step would be a partnership where you are partnering with somebody else. So very similar to a sole proprietorship. It's easy to start up, very low startup cost, and the losses, again, cannot be deducted from the owner's personal taxes. Very similar, again, to the sole proprietorship. On the con side, owners are responsible for debts and other liabilities, and owners have to pay income taxes on the business's net profits. So now moving on to corporations in terms of the pros, so it's the owner's responsibility for debts and other liabilities is limited, which again is important because then this means that you as an individual do not get penalized for the possible losses of the business. In certain cases, benefits can be deducted as business expenses, and taxes can be lowered where owners and businesses share the profits. The con side is that the corporations can be more expensive to create. There is a lot of legal paperwork that has to be filed with the state, and the business is a separate tax entity that must pay taxes at the corporation's tax rate and individual's tax rate. So that's why there are a lot of benefits to opening an S corporation, but again, unfortunately at this point, immigrants who are undocumented are not eligible to get an S corporation. Moving on from that, the limited liability corporation. So the pros about that is that the owner's responsibility for debts and other liabilities is limited, even if they have control of the businesses. The profits and losses do not have to be allocated according to ownership interest, and owners get to choose whether the LLC is taxed as a partnership or a corporation. In terms of the cons, LLCs are much more expensive to establish than sole proprietorships. As you saw in a comparison, a sole proprietorship, you're going to spend anywhere from about $50 to $100. With an LLC, you have to pay at least $800 every year. There is a lot of legal paperwork that needs to be filed with the states. And LLCs are taxed at the entity level, and a franchise tax may be imposed depending on the state, and pay a revenue fee based on total income for the year. In addition to that, moving on to the cooperative corporation, so the pro side of that, members are usually not personally liable for, again, the business losses. Some states require you to have the word cooperative in the business name. Entity level taxation is valid for retained earnings. However, the double taxation can be avoided to some extent as allocations to members' accounts are not taxed. In terms of the cons, it can be a slower decision-making process, and in some cases, employment law does apply.